Hello. This lesson is about value and positioning. It is a very conceptual video, but I will illustrate it with example drawn from accounting, insurance, law, real estate, wellness, and I'll jump from one to the other. They are, all of them actually, used in the book as well. So as you read the book, it will reinforce and complement what you're reading. The notions I want to elaborate on today are value in use, value as a ratio, segmenting, experience, service experience, work experience, and the parallel thereof, value of service, value of work, value proposition, service concept, and dual positioning. So it is indeed a very conceptual lecture. Let's start with the introduction of the book, where I present chapter 1, value creation for the market, for the labor market, and for the capital market. And at the center, our topic really is the connection between the processes and value creation. Value creation, the market, and then here outside there's competitors. We make value proposition, they make value proposition, we compete with various market segments, and we must satisfy all three markets at the same time. And we must zoom into vital processes to either design them, introduce new ones, improve them, and this is what I call the learning path. So that's the general structure of the book. Let's start with the market. And I'll use the example from chapter 2 about real estate, people wanting to sell their house and build a new house. What kind of market segments do we have there? Value does not mean the same thing to different people, because people are not the same, they do not do the same thing, they do not value the same services the same way, and the same experiences the same way as well. So what is value for one person may be a negative for another. So that's why, for example, market segments in the kind of situations I'm describing in chapter 2, broken nest, a couple separates. There's one house to sell, and there's two to buy, or apartments to buy. It's also a mindset. You can have an idea of the kind of mindset that will not require the same approach as you go to empty nest. Empty nest, kids have gone, house too big, need smaller house, a better house, more adapted house. Certainly a very different mindset, very differential financial situation and value system. Opportunist, the market has just grown and blown so much and prices are so high, me too. And finally, bigger nest, family's growing, we need a bigger house. You can see that the value, what constitutes value for these markets is vastly different. Thus, value proposition has to be different. Metrics for that has to be different. Processes to deliver it day in, day out have to be different as well. So positioning is about, and then there's a strategic analysis to do here about our competitors, us, and so on. This has been introduced in the previous video, so I'm moving on to illustrate a little bit more about value and experience. To further illustrate the notion of segmenting, take a couple wanting to write a will. Some people just want no trouble, quick, sit down at home, if possible, convenience. I'll say what I want and I'll let the lawyers and notaries figure out what they have to do. Other people are more active, they want hands-on, they want to get into the detail. They don't mind, actually they might value their own implication in the process. For them, implication is value, feeling of control, feeling of self-effectiveness, as opposed to someone who doesn't want to be bothered with it, for whom this is all negative. Any sort of implications, requirements, things that they have to do is negative. So let's look at this. Either I want service, and the diagram here, as you know from chapter 2, The pink thing here, I hope it comes out pink in the video. The pink thing here is service, and the blue is self-service, what I have to do myself. So a company can position itself in this bracket here, or go for self-service. And I do little, they do a lot. And if I do this well, if I target it well, if I deliver it well, it'll be more value and lower cost for me, by the way. Now, another important dimension is whether they want a standard will or something customized to their very preference, their very own idiosyncrasies. This gives you 4 quadrants. Customized and service, which is the first example I gave, someone who wants to do it all for me the way I want it, don't bug me. The other extreme, a standard will on self-service mode, then you go on the web, you read a little bit, you take a standard form, you tweak it, and find ways to make this legal and valid in a court of law. So you have here various segments of people and various positioning opportunities. As a company position itself, of course it needs to, if you want it all, if you don't renounce any of those markets, of course you will try to get them all and you'll miss them all. Because someone will say, we want these persons. We will develop our services, we will align, and our value proposition will be for them, and it will be better than your global proposition. We prepare wills. If you want to be everything for everyone, you won't be nothing for anyone. That's the idea of segmenting. What is value? Well, what did I get? What did I pay? It's a ratio. What did I get? What was the job I wanted done? Did it get done? What did it cost me? When I shop around, I try to anticipate the value that I will get from various provider value proposition, the price, and I try to get the best value for money. I may be wrong, of course, but this is what I'm looking for. Afterwards, I will assess what I think I've received. I look at what I've paid for it. This will be my assessment of the value received. That's value, but it's not complete. There's more than the result. There is what you have to do to get the result. And that may be positive for someone, negative for other, or depending on the way it's done, it may be positive or negative. So what the customer had to do to get the result is the self-service experience. Again, the service experience is what the provider did for her. Did I enjoy the experience, what I did myself? How did it cost me? Did I enjoy what they did for me? What we're missing here is that the price here is not the complete thing. The results are not the complete thing either. So let's get a complete picture. What did I get as a result? What was the quality of what they did for me? How much did I like what I did for myself? Divided by the sum of all costs of acquisition. The pain as well, the stress aspects of things, the inconvenience. Not that we should put a numerical value to this. But very clearly, when a specific customer is making choices, he or she is trying to assess that, and after the fact, he states that this was better than that. That was good value, that was bad value, and this is how the word of mouth spreads. Let's make this a little more specific by looking at a couple of examples from chapter 2. This is an insurance claim, a car accident. I want to get the car, that's the result I want, is the car repaired. But of course I have to do things, and they have to do things for me. So here's the breakdown here. The result, car is fixed. What did they do for me? And that was this phone conversation, the stress I had, the ease, the empathy I perceived, very much dependent on the person, the expectations. Who is she? What does she do? Where's she from? How will she react to various words? Let me briefly go through an example I've used in a previous video to illustrate this in a different context. And I took a sample of one to illustrate it, a sample of one that I know very well, me. I'm a movie fan. I come back on Saturday night from a trip. We want to watch a movie. I saw great publicity on Apple TV, easy to work and so on. You probably know the device as well. So here's my activity cycle, my corridor. It doesn't work. Not just the thing, but there's the network around it. There's the software, there's the movie itself, there's the TV, there's plenty of stuff that can not work. What would I like? Well, I would like quick answer. I would like courtesy, I would like understanding, empathy, and so on. As you know, the example is worked out in another video. My needs depends on who I am and what I do. What job do I need done? How do I want it done? Then we need to distill from this the benefits that I'm looking for. Reliability, assurance, responsiveness, follow-up. Of course, one word is not a pretty good description. I need a detailed description of what it means. If I'm ever to develop a process to deliver this, everyone involved needs to have the same idea of what this means. So we need first definition. What is assurance? I want to feel that I'm in competent hands. Whoever is serving me has obviously seen this type of problem before, is fully qualified, and you can relate to that as you are trying to get help on any phone system. You're calling the support desk. You can immediately get the feel, yeah, she knows what she's doing here. So back here, as you know, we generate metrics that will, because if you can't measure it, of course, you don't know anything about it, and you can deliver it. Then there's the processes behind the support process, the infrastructure, and that's not my topic today, but you can see that value, and then of course at the end you develop the process whose voice fit within the voice of the customer. The voice of the customer, and that's my message, comes from understanding the segment of markets, who they are, what they do, what job do they want done, how do they want it done. This is value. It does involve, of course, much of what you see in the marketing course. In operation, we start from this, and we move inside and develop the capability to deliver this reliably, every time, flawlessly. That's value. What they do, what they need, the value they're expecting, the benefits. Let's look at these same benefits back in the real estate example worked out in chapter 2. Let's say that I'm a segment that I'm quite active. I want to get involved in the process, but I do need real estate agent to sell my house. So I want visibility of my house. I want low sales costs. I want good bids. I want control. Well, not everyone wants control. This, of course, implies that you've segmented, you look at what's out there. How many people, how much are they willing to pay, who is being targeted by competition, and are they doing a good job at it? Opportunities. Again, we're back in the strategic realms of positioning. From this, we design the service. Those bubbles on both sides are the service design, the service features that will deliver these benefits. Now, having understood what value is, I am designing a service with features that will deliver this value. And on the outside, of course, in the end, I need, not in the end, but once I've got this clear, and by the way, we'll call this the service concept, we need the processes that will deliver it. And we're here into verbs, advertise, manage. Those are site-talkable, if you will allow the neologism. You can, from this, scope it, and much of what we do in the book is start from one of those that we have scoped. Outside in, market in, we land on a process, zoom in from 10,000 meter down to 2,000 meter, down to the ground floor as we are mapping the process, zooming on the critical to process activity, the vital risks, and the pokayokis in there. This is the flow and the logic of all this. To crystallize this further, let's look at the fitness example. I think it's in chapter 5 of the book, if I'm not mistaken. The situation is I'm developing a concept targeted at young people who want to stay fit, who travel, who want to learn new languages, and I've developed a concept. Imagine this. Let's say I've got a half circle of people spinning on bikes with mics, screen back of me. I'm also on the bike myself. I'm the trainer. And as we are spinning and getting fitness as well, we are also, let's say, learning German. And of course, if I am training them, I need to be fit with them, train them on fitness, and at the same time train them on German. I mean, it's a great concept for the right people, because if you're training, your brain is active, you feel the pain in the legs, but certainly concentrating. It's a moment where you're fully aware, fully present, mindful, if you like, and it's a good time to learn. But you do need someone that's capable of doing that. So not only do you need a value proposition that's superior for these people, you also need a personal value proposition for the instructor. You need to segment the instructor. You need to find these persons and make them a proposition that is superior to the personal value proposition available out there in the labor market. So there, this is the example from, again, the book. The market segment are people whom I describe like, very much as in the previous example, who are they? What do they think? What do they value? What do they believe? And this is this description here of the market segment. You will see that in the V2P model, in the market boxes that we have in this example, in the model. What are benefits? Well, I want to feel supported by people who care. I want personal productivity. Let's say young, busy professionals traveling abroad wanting to learn German because their company has business in Germany. I don't have much time. I have young kids. I want a relationship as well with other people, like-minded people, who value productivity and action. Social experience. I want fun. Those could be the features of a service that would be targeted at creating this value for these people. Train on top-of-the-line bike, qualified personal fitness coach, English instruction if you want to learn English or German or whatever. And this is the concept that I've described. We are turning here very detailed to the operation of the service, what we give them. This is the benefit they get from it, and it is a benefit because they are this. And processes that will deliver each of these features, that will create each of these benefits, and so on. The V2P model is essentially this logic where you go from market to service concept to processes. In the V2P model, of course, the link that we're missing here are the metrics, the voice of the customer. Translate this into something measurable so that you can build a learning cycle, a learning mechanism into it. The other aspect, the mirror image of this, is the labor market, as I just illustrated. You need, if I cannot find my instructors that can do this right and enjoy this and want to come back and feel good while they're doing it, then I do not have a business. The notion of dual positioning is that in parallel and at the same time, you should create value for your customers and value for your employees, and they create, in fact, value together. Now, let's move towards modeling this, towards the V2P model. Dual positioning is about creating value for customers and creating value for employees. The instructor, for example, the fitness and language instructor I just described. Target labor market segment. Where do we find them? What kind of personal value proposition can we develop for them that will first get them to come, get them to stay, and get them to be happy doing this for a long time? We know the cost of turnover of employees. So the job concept is very much parallel to what we just illustrated in terms of the service concept. Knowing who they are, the job, the personal things they'd like to do, what is value to them has become clear. The benefits, what is personal benefits, and the employee package we can develop, the job description, the activity that we will do, the reward system that they will have that will deliver these benefits. So you see the idea of the mirror image between labor market positioning and market positioning. The personal value proposition, again, is a parallel. What is value at the personal level? Well, it is also a ratio. I want personal results from whatever I do as a job, but I don't pay for it. So it's an opportunity cost. You can extend that to say, well, in the job that I do, there's some things I do myself. There's something my company, my employer, do for me. So again, there is a mix here, and we can develop and position ourselves differently in those terms. And finally, the complete equation, which again is conceptual. This is not something we want to put numbers to, but when you get a proposal, a job offer from someone else, what you do in your mind? Well, what will I get in terms of what I want in life? How well will they support me, help me, value me, encourage me, train me? And what will I have to do? And will I enjoy this? And what are my opportunity costs of going there and not doing something else, surfing on the beach, being with my kids, working at this other job? And of course, this is very idiosyncratic, personal. Personal value, no surprise there, is personal. Dual positioning is about developing a service concept and making a value proposition to the market at the same time as we develop a job concept and make a value proposition to the labor market in such a way that the two concepts are in harmony. And at the moment of truth, when they meet, when they interact and create value, value is created both ways. And when value is created both ways, it is created a third way, that is for the shareholders of the organization. Inside, we need HR here to deliver the internal service, not just HR, but to manage this aspect for all managers to do that well. All the service standards, metrics must be developed, and we need the processes as illustrated in the previous example. This is how we go market in, strategy in, and this is the strategy operation connection. Another image of this, you have labor market segments, you have market segments, you have competitors targeting both in the labor market and the market, and sometimes they're the same, sometimes they are not. We need to develop these concepts, and those are illustrated in the V2P model by benefits and features connected with arrows, as you saw in the fitness, in the bike learning example. Marketing's job is here, operations job is there. Strategy, of course. Service standards derived from the service concept. Processes, and we call this the voice of customer. Processes must be designed and operated to fit within the voice of the customer. In other words, that variation of those processes fall within the voice of the customer. And there you have the dual challenges of operations job, to design and manage this, and marketing job. And if ever marketing and operations speak different language, do not like each other, do not sit at the same table at the moment of strategy review, of course you have the disconnect. You have marketing promising stuff that operation cannot, will not, have no intention of, are incapable of delivering, and you are creating terrorists. You are making a promise that here, creating expectation that you will never be able to meet, and you are creating terrorists in the sense that they will talk about you, they will try and destroy you, they'll be mad at your service, and they will destroy your reputation in the market. And at this point, the takeaways from this video should be fairly clear. Let me summarize them briefly in conclusion. Processes should create the most value for all stakeholders. If you don't know what value you're creating for each, of course, you cannot design and operate processes that do. if you do not know what value you're creating for each, it's very easy, as you change your process, to think that you're creating more value, that you're improving. But as you are destroying the value, for example, for employee or for the customer, by focusing on one or the other stakeholder, then the net result is negative and you will be none the wiser for it. That concludes the video. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.